Hello, dear students. So, today I am back with another poem. I am going to take up The Lake Isle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats. We have already taken up 4 poems. This poem is quite popular. William Butler Yeats is one of the most famous English poets. William Butler Yeats was born in 1865 in Ireland, and during his childhood he lived in a town named Sligo. A town called Sligo. Sligo is in Ireland. So William Butler Yeats lived in Sligo during the most part of his childhood. Thereafter he shifted to London. So when William Butler Yeats shifted to London, thereafter he became nostalgic about Sligo, and in 1892 William Butler Yeats wrote The Lake Isle of Innisfree. Here Innisfree is the name of another small island which was close to the native place of the poet. During his childhood, William Butler Yeats used to visit Innisfree, a small island close to the town Sligo where he lived. So when he goes to London, he starts thinking about Innisfree, because in London his life is quite hectic. He finds that he does not have time for himself. So he starts thinking about Innisfree. He starts thinking about that small island where he used to go with his friends and with his family members during his childhood. He once again thinks of going back to Innisfree. He once again thinks of going back to Ireland to visit Innisfree. So this poem is an expression of his desire or his longing to visit Innisfree, a small island close to Sligo, his native place in Ireland. Ireland is the name of a country which is next to England. England is in England. London is in England, and it is in London that the poet started living as he grew up, as he became an adult. So the poet wrote this poem in 1892. So let us start the poem. I will arise and go now. I will arise and go now. Here the poet talks about his desire to go back to Ireland, or to go back to Innisfree. Innisfree, as I told you, is a small island in Ireland. The poet wants to go back to Innisfree because he finds that his life in London is not at all happy. And go to Innisfree. He wants to go to Innisfree and a small cabin built there, and he wants to build a small house there, a small hut there. He may be living in a very comfortable or very big house in London, but he is not happy with his life there. He wants to go back to Innisfree. There he will be happier even if he lives in a small hut, even if he lives in a small house built of clay, mud, or twigs, branches of trees. That is what he will say in the next lines of the poem. So second line was, and a small cabin built there. I will go to Innisfree and I will build a small house there of clay. Clay stands for soil or mud. And wattles. Wattles means branches of trees or twigs. I will make a small house out of clay out of mud, out of branches of trees. 9 bean rows will I have there. 9 bean rows. Bean rows, rows of beans. A farmer grows beans, a farmer grows vegetables. So the poet also has a deep seated desire to be a farmer. When he will go to Innisfree, then he will grow food for himself. He will not buy food from anywhere, he will not buy vegetables from anywhere. Rather, he will grow vegetables himself. He will have 9 rows of beans in one of the fields of Innisfree, in one of the fields close to his small house made of clay and mud and branches of trees. A hive for the honey bee. The poet is not happy with this only, he also wants to have a beehive. He also wants to have a hive from where he will have honey. In that hive there will be lots of bees and live alone in the bee-loved glade. Moreover, the poet wants to live all alone there. He does not want to have any company, he does not want to have any companion, because he might be thinking that people are not trustworthy, people are not true friends. So he wants to live there all alone. He wants to have his own company in that island of Innisfree. He will grow vegetables himself. He will have a beehive for honey. That beehive will be resonant with the humming of bees. Bees will keep buzzing or humming around that beehive or around his small cabin. So he will live in a very natural way there. He does not want to live an artificial life as he might be living in London. And here we must remember that the poet is not at all happy, or he might be unhappy with his life in London. He is dissatisfied with city life. That is why he seeks contentment, he seeks happiness in village life, in rustic life. Now, next stanza. And I shall have some peace there. Now the poet comes to the point. He wants to have peace there. He wants to have happiness there. That is why he wants to go to Innisfree. For peace comes dropping slow. Peace comes dropping slow. He will have peace in a gradual way there. Peace will not come at once to him in Innisfree. When he starts living there, peace will come gradually to him. With the passage of time, his life will become peaceful. With the passage of time, he will start enjoying his life. Dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. And this peace will come slowly, gradually. From the vales of the morning. Vales of the morning stand for the fog that will surround his house in Innisfree. In the morning, when he gets up, when he wakes up, his house will be surrounded by fog. And when he comes out, or when he will come out, he will find peace gradually dropping on him. He will become peaceful. His life will become peaceful when he sees the natural beauty around his small cabin in Innisfree. Dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. Cricket sings. Cricket. And he will enjoy the melodious sound produced by cricket. You all know cricket is a sort of insect which produces noise, but that noise will be a musical sound to the poet. He will enjoy it. That sound will be a sort of music to him. There midnight is all a glimmer and noon a purple glow in that island of Innisfree. Midnight is all a glimmer. During midnight, there are lots of stars in the sky, and he will enjoy that view. He will find himself happy when he sees stars in the sky. That is what the poet imagines. And noon a purple glow, and during daytime there is sun, and in the form of purple color. So during night there are lots of stars in the sky, and during daytime the sun will shine upon his house. There will be purple rays of the sun upon his house, and he will enjoy the view a lot, and he will enjoy this view very much. And evening full of the linnet's wings, and his evenings will be made pleasant by the musical sound of linnet. Linnet is a songbird. So he will also enjoy listening to the music of linnet. And during evenings, he will always listen to that musical sound produced by a small bird called linnet. So with this, the second stanza comes to an end. Now we will switch over to the third and final stanza. He repeats, I will arise and go now. That is what I really want to do. That is where I really want to go. I don't want to be in London anymore. I want to go to Innisfree, where I used to go during my childhood. So that is what my innermost desire is. So I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, because I dream of Innisfree. I do not only dream of Innisfree when I am sleeping, I also dream of Innisfree even when I am wide awake. Whether I am awake or deep asleep, I dream of Innisfree. I hear in my imagination the lake water striking against the shore. I can hear the noise of the water of the lake which flows through Innisfree. While I stand on the roadway, thereafter the poet realizes that he is standing in the middle of the road, surrounded by big buildings. So that is when he realizes that he is in London, and whatever he has said is merely an imagination. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavements, gray colored pavements. Gray is a very dull color. Life in city is quite dull. Life in London is too boring and dull for the poet, and he says that he wants to say goodbye or bid farewell to his life in London. He wants to go to Innisfree, but he realizes that it was all a sort of daydreaming for him. I hear it in the deep heart score, but he is determined to go back to Innisfree, because somewhere at the bottom of his heart he realizes that he wants to go to Innisfree. He wants to settle down there permanently. He wants to live there all alone. He wants to have a house there which he will build himself. out of clay, out of branches of tree. He will grow vegetables there himself in the form of 9 rows of beans, and he will also have a beehive there full of honey, and that house in Innisfree will be resonant with the songs of linnet bird and the songs of cricket and the songs of several other birds. So that is what he thinks of doing, that is what he imagines, that is what he thinks about his life in Innisfree, where he wants to settle down permanently sometime in future. Again, when he realizes that he is in London at present, then he again becomes convicted. He assures himself once again that he will definitely go one day to Innisfree to live there permanently. So with this poem comes to an end. So tomorrow or day after tomorrow I will come back with another poem. So you read it yourself, and see you again. Till then, be safe, stay home, and be happy.